All right, you good now?
It's good, traders. This week just gonna be going over the first week in February, and as you can see, I finished this week with about 1,400, which I mean isn't terrible, but that's really kind of disappointing. Mainly because not because of the gains that I made through any day, but just these 2 days in the beginning that really put me in the hole to, you know, put me in the hole early in the week that I had to dig myself out of. Uh, Starting at Monday, if I go over the first couple trades that I took, Monday I really shouldn't have traded at all. I don't. If you're a trader, you would, and you have E Trade, you would know that Monday E Trade was having big issues just with executions and orders. Like things were just really, really messed up, and I was not able to, enter and exit on positions at the quality that I would like. So that's just something going forward, knowing that if my broker is having issues on that day, then I just need to completely just avoid not even trading. Just there'll be other opportunities, and I was still trying to force these opportunities on that day. You can see that big loss of the day was $200 from CYDY, and this shouldn't have. This actually should have been a winner. All of these trades actually, well, except OPTI. It actually OPTI didn't even mean to get executed on there. That's how bad the E trade was, like just messing up that day. But anyways, moral of the story for Monday: if you notice that your broker is having issues, just don't trade. Like you're just gonna put yourself in a bad situation, put yourself in a headache, and you could just completely avoid that situation. Then going into that Tuesday was my bad. I was trying to force an issue. Just got really, really undisciplined on Tuesday. You see that on my P&L Tuesday, I actually lost $700. Um, but the main reason I lost it was because I continued to add to a losing trade, and that trade was SHMP, where I seen that SHMP. If you've been trading for a while, um, you could date back all the way to 2019. You see that SHMP is a former runner, is actually a former supernova, and this week it was trying to break out. It was setting up on the chart for a nice breakout. You can see right over here. On the second, I tried to play it because it was breaking out that day. You can see it was still very light volume, but it was breaking out. And because I saw this breakout happen, also in combination with this 1.6 million volume candle, I was thinking like, okay, today is the day for the big move. And that just was not the case from just the price action on the day. So I took my first entry at 49.5, right around here, knowing that it was kind of actually 46.5, knowing that it was kind of a chase, thinking that, okay, I know this is a chase, but I know my plan was to add when it dips below the breakout level, because I was knowing that it was really going to break below this breakout level. But on this dip, I was really going to add size, which I did. I added in the rest of my shares at 48.5. Then you see we get this test to the breakout level again, and we reject. After we rejected this second time, I should have cut right here, but I got super, super undisciplined on the day, and I added again. See where this is my big mistake for this week, and ended up like costing me, profit for the week, was because I continued to add to a losing trade. And as a trader, that's kind of one of the biggest rules you shouldn't do. Losers add to losers, winners add to winners. And this trade, it was not working for me. It was not showing me that that the thesis that I had behind the trade, which was a breakout and it continued to go higher, it was not doing that. I was trying to force it to happen, and I ended up paying the price for it. And I added more at 47.3 and ended up having to cut all of my shares at 46. I think I cut it all at 46.5, which just all of these combined together was one big paper cut. And then you could see the other two trades that I took also from the same ticker again, just VPER. Um, just not being patient enough in the entries with VPER. On the second, we go to the look at the daily, pull up the daily chart real quick. You see on the second that it broke out on this day. My patience and conviction behind this trade from those earlier losses just messed up my mindset going into this trade because I was really trying to just bank on winning. And one thing I've noticed is that when stocks kind of make their midday moves, midday, let's say you have a stock, it's breaking out, but it's still continuing higher going into the midday, right? Then it's like 12:30, and that's when it's made its official high of day at that moment. One thing I've noticed is that normally I like to take my afternoon positions at 1:30, but because of that, because it hasn't had enough time to really consolidate, setting that high over midday, like these levels aren't as important to set a nice defined risk off of. And I came in with this plan with just entering at 1:30 right off of like these levels right here, and ended up having to just cut and cut. And then I didn't even notice taking this third chance where it actually broke out right here. Mm-hmm. And this would have been like right around here would have been the ideal entry, risking off of this range right here. But because I didn't give it enough time to consolidate and really prove itself, kind of shot me in the butt. But going forward, I know that if a stock has, let's say a stock has set a high in the afternoon, was 12:30, I won't take a position until post 1:45 to 2 p.m. range. Like I want to make sure it's really, really proven, and I might not take a position based off of risk reward like this. I might take a position based off of the action of the chart when it's really getting really tight in the range, just like that. But yeah, that was Monday and Tuesday, which I think were the most important days of the week because you learn a whole lot more from losing than winning. On Wednesday, I knew because this stock had broken out, you can see my lines drawn right here, that this stock did finish above its breakout right here. It passed this breakout, consolidated throughout the day, pushed a little bit under its breakout, got above its breakout, and then it continued higher and then held its breakout throughout the day. I knew that the following day, on the 3rd, that there would be a whole lot of potential there. And on the 3rd, I had the same mindset going in. One thing that I've noticed about the second day of the breakouts is that this is the day where you should draw your 50 line, or where I draw my 50 line. One thing that I've noticed just from data tracking is just that when stocks, especially these lower price OTC stocks, when a breakout is deemed successful, it'll at least run 50%, which is why I draw that 50% line. So on that second day, normally we have this little dip in action where it did get under red green, which is a pattern I have been noticing. Red green hasn't been an important of a mark lately. I guess because everyone, just expects red green to hold, and when it crashes, it really just shakes a lot of people out. But on this day, and I still didn't do as well as I wanted to executing, because this should have been executed purely off of data. But on this day, I tried to catch that bottom. See, my first entry was at 139. I had to cut because it started to make a lower high right here, and I just had to cut because I didn't get filled where I wanted to right into this wick. So yeah, I had entry at 139, cut at 1.14. But as soon as I saw the level two start confirming, it gave me a great opportunity to get back in. Wasn't scared. Just saw that pattern really happening. I know that majority of the time that like I can really take advantage of the morning volatility because I am better at trading at the morning time. So I entered here. You can see my average was 0.01367. So almost at the bottom. Not directly there, but anyway, you're in at 0.0136. This is your risk. So you have a real clean risk at 0.0131. And your reward for this stock, if you're tracking the statistics and your reward should at least be 50%. That 50% line was at 0.018. And you can see I sold a little early, just getting caught up in my P&L instead of, trying to trade the game that's being shown to me.
Right.
But it's still like it was a 28% gain, almost a 30% gain.
Nice.
And this was strictly off of just statistics that I've been tracking. So it was cool to really see it work like that. Other trades throughout the week, not too many trades really stood out so far besides that I really would want to talk about. There is a lot of, I will say there is a ton of opportunity in the market right now, especially like if you've been here for some years and just years in the game that you can really take advantage of. So you should. But just for me going forward, just trying to focus in on trying to maximize on every pattern. I know going into Monday, there's so many plays that I'm
Right.
just looking forward to, like MJNA. Like it's super extended. You can see the breakout happen. Then this did the same exact thing and broke out. This one had a different kind of formation of hitting that 50 line, but still more of the story is if it goes and pushes, it should go past that 5 line. You can see it mainly happens on the second day of the pattern. So that's the edge that I'm trying to, really capitalize on going forward. And I did capitalize on it a little bit and going into the afternoon, but just taking advantage of that morning is something that I'm really trying to work on going forward. But I am looking forward to like panic dip buys going into next week from pretty much a lot of stocks. MJNA, you got 4W, you got SRC, even though this still looks like it's on its front side with that sideways day. You got TSMP, which is going crazy. Like I texted Vlad this morning talking about I can't believe this thing is above $1 because it's crazy because this thing was literally it was a sub penny stock, like
and we were talking
dating
about,
back.
and what was it? What, Friday?
Dating all the way back to, what'd you say?
Was it just Friday when you were or no, it was Tuesday, I think, that you were coaching me
Yeah, it
through
was
it.
Tuesday when I noticed it and I couldn't
Yeah.
trade it. Yeah, it got kind of kind of made me upset too.
Yeah.
Then we had E and ZC, just a whole lot of opportunity coming. INND.
Crazy, like.
So yeah,
And,
so if you're aware in the market and you're a trader right now, there is a whole lot of opportunity going forward, but you just take it to trade by trade, knowing that you're probably not going to nail every single one of these trades and be okay with that,
Mm-hmm.
but focusing on the ones that present you the most amount of opportunity based off your edge. Um,
And
and that's pretty much all.
Bitcoin is last time I checked today it was at 40k. So if that have another
Bitcoin is
break,
at 40K.
yeah, if that have another breakout,
Um,
then those Bitcoin
yeah,
OTC stock that's been getting beat up, they're gonna bounce. So next
yeah,
week, I
there's
mean, should be a lot of opportunities,
most definitely. But that's what I'm going to end with this week.
Still trying to get everything just pulled up real quick. Let me slide this here. Slide this here. Alright. Can you see my you can see my screen?
Yeah, I got it pulled up.
Alright. So, just start off with my stats. So, very very good week in term of being grateful for the amount that I made, but like I was telling Rocky is even though I'm grateful for it, I feel like I could have done a lot
Can't
better.
see.
You can't see it no more.
I can't see you on your screen if you have that pulled up.
Can you see me now?
Yeah, I can see you.
Alright. For some reason it's not gonna pop up. I'm just waiting on my Excel sheet here to pop up. Alright, there it goes.
I should drop this video in the MIC chat.
Alright. So last week I finished the week up $6,529.88. Um this number is actually wrong because I actually made like 200 on this day. 200 something. So that's actually wrong. But everything else is correct. I don't know why this wasn't updated. I don't know the exact number, so maybe around like 6,300. Due to that number being wrong. But a few trades that I want to go over on that date. I took a big loss on VYGV GV GV F. I'm sorry, can't you see? And it wasn't just one trade; it was just a combination of a couple of trades. And this was me playing the first red day on it. So this wasn't like my ideal first red day, because ideally I like first red day that happens in the morning versus in the afternoon. So I was playing it on this day here. And one thing that I noticed about it too, like I noticed that this stock had this spike in the morning, then it just started dropping, made a little higher low right here. Then you have this was like an instant spike. Swipe up, then you had this down death candle right here. And again, as you can see, there's a gap because I was watching this like throughout the day, and it had just an instant spike again. So one thing that I was thinking, I was like, okay. And not only that, the spread, it wasn't tight. I think it was maybe like sometime it was like a 5 cents, 10 cents spread. So going into it, I had that in mind. So I got short right here. And immediately, as soon as I got short, this started working. It started plunging. So immediately, I'm up like $500. Went from being up 500, then you have this immediate swipe up. Then I'm down like 600 or something dollars. I'm like, man, you gotta be kidding me. So I cut for like a $600 loss, but I got back in like right around here at $11 because I figured that this was the first swipe, then the second one it should die off, so I got in. But I just started getting impatient. I was like, man, I don't want this thing to swipe up again since it had this history here. So I just cut for like break even at 11. So I got in right here again. Got in, this time I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna start paying myself along the way, just to make it a lot easier. So got in, started paying myself. So instead of me being down 600 from this swipe, I was down like 300. So I'm paying myself, paying myself. Then next thing you know, we get the same action again, another swipe up. So I went from being like on here I was up 500. On here, like it would have took away all this loss, and I would have been up like 200. But instead of me being just down 300, I took another $300 loss when this thing swiped up and went green. Like once that happened, that's a sign for me. Okay, first red day, it shouldn't keep trying to swipe up. Go red. It went red, green, red, green, red again, green, red. Like I didn't play it all through here. Once it went green again here, I was like, yo, I'm done with this stock because this is just taking up mental space, and there's so many other plays that I can have my focus on. So I just left it alone. And of course, like towards the end of the day, I know some shorts got caught in this squeeze right here. Again, it went red again. Probably some shorts was probably thinking, okay, I'm going to try to swing this overnight. And next thing you know, you have this squeeze. It went from 11 or 1080 all the way to 1192. So a whole dollar on this little squeeze. So following by the next day,
You gotta mention
huh?
F ticker too.
Yeah, it's an F
I said you
ticker.
gotta mention F ticker too. So
Yeah, and it's higher price. So
yeah,
the lesson for this is like trust what the stock is telling you, because even on here, like once it started rebounding, I had a chance to get out, but in my mind I was like, no, it's the first red day. And yes, first red days do give really good opportunities. um And really, once it got here, I should have cut because. But then I was like, nah, I'm just gonna be patient, and that's something that I talked about last week too on the first red day. Is like once it crossed red green, just get out because I could always re-enter again. But instead, this whole time right here, I'm like, well, let me just be patient and just see because had I just took the loss here, it would have just been a not even a $200 loss. I think I would have been down like 100 and something because my entry was pretty good. So I would have been down like 100 and something, and I could have reattacked had this would have been like a fake out like for it to continue to go down. But instead, and for some reason, and I need to start writing this down on this piece of paper. Anytime that I say that, okay, let me just be patient and wait and see what it do, that's a sign for me to get out because it never works out for me. When I say let me be patient and see,
Every
and
single time I think you can get out.
yeah, because as soon as it swiped up, like in the 11s, I'm like, oh crap. Like, should I get out? Should I not get out? Like right here, I'm at max pain, because if it squeeze up even more, I'll be down, over 1,000. So, so yeah, so I end up, cutting at the top, of course, because max pain I cut at 1110. So I was the one who caused this little spike here, and of course on the next candle they brought it down. So, but this is still a stock that I will look into for next week. Hopefully, it still keeps going higher, but the higher it goes, I am gonna significantly reduce my size because I was trading here with about 2,000 shares. So, going forward, because they have that much of a range, I may just do like 500 and pushing it maybe 1,000 shares. But that was like biggest lesson for me on last week. Couple of because all the other trades, I felt like it was like really manageable. Like even this $300 loss here on LIACF, I was pushing sides with it. And one thing that I could probably note on it is cutting a little faster because I tried to play this on this day with the first bounce. So stock popped up and my risk was right here at 235. I got in at like 237. So with 3,000 shares. So actually, yeah, this is a pretty good lesson for me to cut a lot faster. Let me just make sure that was my entry. They don't have this correctly. 231. Okay, this is all the combined trade because I entered this twice. So maybe I did cut it a little quicker. But on this, I bought the first bounce right here. I think it was like right around 237, and my risk was 235. But I didn't cut it till it got to I think like 230, like 220. No matter of fact, yeah, like around like 228, 227. So there's no way because this gave me plenty of time. So this is not even slippage or anything like that. This is just me. Okay, let me just wait and see if this is gonna catch itself and bounce. And of course, it just kept going. So I need to do a better job of cutting right here. Again, I could always re-enter if this does catch and gets above VWAP. But then later on in the afternoon, I did end up buying it right here. Right around here, risking red green. And I gave it like plenty of time for it to work. It just wouldn't work. So once I saw I did this little double top here, I was like, yeah, it's about time for me to get out. And it was like it was midday. So midday breakouts, intraday breakouts typically don't work. So once I saw the time, so I got out like right around here. And good thing I did because as you can see, it had this nasty panic towards the end of the day. Um, Overall on the trade, like after commissions and everything like that, I lost $300. But just cutting, you know, I didn't have much mistakes last week, but even eliminating some of these mistakes, like cutting this quicker, um, with the other trade, just get out. Like no reason for me to still be in this trade to eventually taking a $605 loss. Um, it doesn't make sense. All the other trades here. Uh, oh, this one I had a squeeze on LODE. Um, that one entry was good. It just the stock just squeezed me, and I think I did a really good job as far as just like not panicking and just getting out. And it was on this particular day. Um, so with this trade, low hanging fruit. This is like the first, not really low hanger. This first broken chart. And looking at it now, the chart really wasn't broken because you have this uptrend and just sideways consolidation. So I try to play this multiple because now I'm kind of remembering it now. Because I was trying to play this chart based upon the bounce short on 817. It had 225 million in volume, and these were just the key levels where where majority of the consolidation was. So on that day when I started playing it, it was above that level because this is the two levels right here, and during pre-market it was above it. And even in pre-market, like the volume, I think it ended up with about like 7 or 8 million. So 7 or 8 million normally on a bounce short don't equate out to that this stock is gonna do like over 200 million on that day. So I actually had a little bit of confidence in that. First time around, I just wanted to fill out the stock. So as it was going up, I was taking like super small position. Took like 100 shares here, 100 shares here. Then it faded. So as it was fading, that's when I covered the first time around. Then going back, I'm like, okay, on the bounce, the next bounce, I'm just gonna add bigger size. So I added here at VWAP. Then I added it at this line, which was probably a mistake since VWAP and this line was a little too close together. And I had an entry right here. Then I had an entry right here. So immediately on this candle, I get filled for this entry, and that entry. Once I saw that, I was like, yeah, it's time for me to get out because the stock was too strong. So got out. I think in total I had like 1,700 shares. So in total I got out like right here for the $300 loss. And good thing that I did just by cutting it and not waiting for this here, or else I would have got squeezed up a whole nother close to $2. So I did a good job.
One thing you got to point out is you see how it traded very, very light volume and you were shorting.
Right.
So that was just like the red flag. Like, why is it trading such light volume? And yeah, it did go down, but it's trading too light volume for it to go down.
Right.
Especially when it was holding a range of that $2 level.
Yeah, because this right here is a telltale sign. Because since this is where all the majority of the consolidation was done on this day, like literally it should have went lower because all here, if you have a whole bunch of selling pressure, because on this day it was $2. Like it should have cracked. Yeah. It should have cracked $2. Should have probably got down to this line and maybe a bounce back to $2 or so would have been a confirmation of okay, this is actually a broken chart. So a couple of things I did miss on this play. That was for one, definitely volume, because as you see it here, volume is non-existent. The fact that this is not really a broken chart because this is just consolidation. It's holding its gains. Like it came back to the $2 mark during pre-market and it held it. It dropped off again and it held it again. So you have one, two, three bottoms right here. So, I got it right the first time, but I guess I was just a little bit in my head. I was like, man, FOMO. Like, why didn't you use bigger size on the first time? Because this was like a 50 cents drop, you know? So I was like, why didn't I use bigger size? So I was like, I catch it on the next bounce. And I sure caught it on the next bounce. And I had to cut right here. So I think that was a pretty good lesson on that. But the good thing about it too, like throughout the day, I wasn't frustrated, even though that was like my first trade of the day, and I automatically took a loss. Like I wasn't frustrated. Now AMC, that was a pretty good trade, and if anybody watch Alex's video, he went over like how he traded this, and I pretty much traded it similarly. AMC, GME, like pretty much on, what day was it? It was the first. All right, so on the first, so it was on this day. On this day here. So GME was the sector leader. AMC was just a sympathy play. And with that being the sympathy play, it really has no reason of being up. Even GameStop really didn't have no reason of being up. But since AMC followed the movement of it, this is like giving you a peek to what, like, that's why I like sector plays, because if you could identify the leader and identify the sympathy, like playing the sympathy is super easy. Like, because there's a delay. Like when this happened, like right out the gate, GameStop just had this nasty drop. Boom. Then it had the bounce. Like I missed this drop. I didn't even see it. But I came back after taking that loss on LODE, and I saw this up. I'm like, okay. It popped over VWAP. Then it had this nasty drop. Then it started consolidating like right here. Then on the consolidation, it had this nasty drop. But on AMC, get that date. Alright, there it is right here. Oh no, that's the 29th. Alright, here it goes. So on this date, like when when GameStop had the drop, this was still consolidating. So during this consolidating period, I just started adding. First I got 1,000 shares. Then I was like, yo, GameStop is still dropping, so I added on another 1,000 shares. Then immediately after I added on my second 1,000, you have this nasty death drop right here. Boom, 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 and I just covered it right here. So this trade literally took maybe 4 minutes, and it was all due to just knowing what GameStop was doing, identifying that was the sector leader. And it was afterwards I found out, oh, Alex played the same way. He caught it on the first drop, then caught it on the second drop. But just the fact that this is just like a universal play that a lot of people, if they know what they're doing, they could really capture a trade like that. And I think the last trade um, was LKNCY. Um, I think that was pretty good in the sense of execution, but like selling, um, I sold like way too soon on this. Let me just eliminate some of these stuff. All right, so the story with LKNCY is that they announced bankruptcy like during pre-market. It was like 5 a.m. So 5 a.m. Mind you, this stock was trading at $12.82. So let me just show you how it looked. So this stock just been ramping up. Remove this. Move VWAP. So this stock just been ramping up, breakout, and that should have, and that probably was a little fishy sign because as far as like it broke out here. I mean, just looking at hindsight now, but um, it broke out here, and the farthest that it got was like 15, and it couldn't fill this gap before it came back down. But they announced on the morning of that they filed for bankruptcy. So immediately, well, not immediately, but
They filed for bankruptcy again.
yeah, they filed for bankruptcy. Yeah. So I saw that news. So I'm like, okay, this could be I was thinking more of a short. I was like, this could be a good short,
Yeah.
but the gap down was like huge. Like I started seeing the gap down like it was in the sevens. I'm like, yo, this was just at 12 the other day, yesterday. So I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna short this. Like if it spikes, to like the 11s, 10s, and stuff like that, yeah, definitely. But if it start dropping, then oh yeah, this is gonna be a good bounce. And as you can see, just nothing but red candles, red candle, red candle, red candle. So on this first bounce here, I actually got in at like 560 because I figured that the bounce was gonna be big, and I just didn't want to miss it. So, and that's one thing that I probably need to get better at as far as like on the entries on these bounce, because I would see it on the level too, but I always wanted to confirm first. Like normally I want to wait for the green candle to happen first, and a lot of time if I wait for the green candle to happen, I'm gonna be chasing. So I think now I'm just gonna take the chance, and if I'm wrong, just hurry up and cut. That way, you know, I don't chase and take bigger loss, especially on this pullback, because I got in at I think like 560, and I had to sell at like 540, and I had 3,000 shares, so that was $600 loss that I took just that quick. Boom. But I figured, okay, if it bounce again or make a higher low, then that's definitely gonna be where I need to enter. So it did this bounce right here. And once it did this bounce right here, I got in at like 549, I think. And like 549, so I caught it really good. And instead of doing 3,000 shares, I did 4,000 shares. And the crazy thing about it, like as it was going up, like I'm over here selling at the 590s. I sold half at 590. Like this thing didn't even do a red candle, and that's what I wasn't even mindful of. I was just so excited. I'm like, yo, I made my loss back and then some. So I'm like, immediately, let me just take away half of my 4,000 shares. So I took away half. Then after I took it off, I was like, yo, you're an idiot, man. Like, where's the red candle at? Like, where's the sign that is turning for you to be able to get out? Because your entry, I'm in here. And even though it started doing this little wicking thing right here, like it kind of went red a little bit, but it wasn't formed. like at least let it form. If anything, you could get out somewhere right here and still be at like, break even or more than break even had I gotten out with the 4,000 shares. But instead, I sold half, and of course this thing started going. So I'm like, okay, just wait for the red candle and you just start selling. So I sold some in here. I didn't sell all. But then once I saw this second this red candle over here, I was like, all right, time to get out. So I got in. Well, not even that. I'm sorry, I got all of it out here on this first red candle. I do apologize, but once it did this red candle, I'm like, yo, I'm out. So I got out like 638 with the remaining. Um, so overall, pretty good trade. I think I could have did a lot better given seeing this, because this bounced from 525 to
Yeah, I wish I
844.
would have saw that one. I would have killed that.
Yeah, it was a very, very, very good trade. Like, and that's why I said, like, me, I think this was like a plus setup, because just given this stock, like anytime you have like a huge gap up, especially with a stock like this that's been traded, like if you look at the volume on all of these days, it's like massive, like 5 million. That's not normal for a higher price OTC stock. I could see like lower price, like $2, $3, $4 range, but this is like 5 million, 8 million, 5 million, 8 million. So there's a lot of people that's trapped in here. So once it dumped like it did here, those people are getting out. It did 63 million in volume. So all the people that's trapped in here, not to mention all the people that's trapped in here, they're like, yo, this company's about to go to zero, and that's when panic set in. So even on next week, I'm gonna look at this, because I got a feeling that this could either, if it have a spike in the morning, it could spike big to try to come up here, or if it have another panic, this would be another good shorting opportunity then for another bounce. So there's a lot of tickers to look at for next week. So very, very excited. But overall, those are really the lessons that I have, at least that I learned from this week. One good thing that I could say, we are constantly getting better. So each day is a new opportunity.
No doubt.
So yeah, signing off.